business transaction operations are conducted through them, and they are not intended for sale to customers. That is very important. If anything that is intended for sale to customers will become what we have studied. Yes, we that will become inventory. So the long-term assets, plant assets are not readily sold to the customer. They are also called. There are many names. They are also called property, plant and equipment, fixed assets, etc. But the important characteristic is that these assets are expected to be used of the company for a number of years. And we had discussed it that how many number of years it depends on company decision, depending on the nature of the business. And that number of years will be known as the useful life of that asset, which the company has determined. And similarly, there is economic life, which is the textbook life, we may call it, or we may call it the manual in the life in that which is mentioned in the manual if all necessary precautions are taken. Except for land, plant assets decline in service potential over their useful lives. Land, that is the piece of plot, is always appreciated. So at this moment, we can uh, establish a rule of thumb that land is not depreciated. No depreciation on land is applied. Land is not depreciated. This is the golden rule, which is to be learned and which is to be always applied. Okay, now let's see. I will take you back in the journal entries form. We had made certain entries like uh, let's suppose we had studied earlier that Mr. X bought furniture of rupees, sorry, dollar 100,000. Now it is, we treated it as a cost, that is furniture debit and accounts payable or cash credit, whatever the case is. But this final cost, if it is the final cost, then this is arrived through a number of different calculations. It is not that final cost. It is not that the simple cost that we have given. So now we will first initially practice how that final cost will be calculated. Then we will apply the depreciation on it. So our topic is, that is the determining the cost of the plant asset. How the cost of that plant asset is determined. First of all, this is what we have learned. Companies record plant assets at cost. That is, this is the cost. But how this cost arrives after calculation, now we will see it in this section. Okay. Here what is written, cost consists of all the expenditures necessary to acquire the asset and make it ready for its intended use. Let's suppose this is the machinery. We want to import from China. Now, initially, what the Chinese supplier will quote us, they will quote us that it is around dollar, let's suppose 100,000. This dollar 100,000 with Chinese suppliers is quoted. This is known as invoice price. And now this is what is written. The cost, all expenditures that is applied to acquire the asset and for its intended use. Now the question is where this machinery will be used. it will be used in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia, that will in Pakistan, in our warehouse. So there is a lot of steps involved in it in bringing this machinery into the warehouse and make it operative. So if we write down some simplest cost, that includes, first of all, we will make the insurance of that asset, insurance in transit, so that from China to Pakistan, if there is a loss, that will be covered in that insurance in transit. Then after, at coming to the port, there are several duties, custom duties are applied. And if we will not pay, our machinery will not arrive at our destination. So some of the custom duties will also form part of it. Then there is a concept of VAT or GST, general sales tax. This is also applied. Otherwise, otherwise the government officials will not release it. Then, after the port, the machinery has arrived at port. Now we have to transport it all the way towards our factory or warehouse. So this transportation charges, this carrying inwards, is very necessary to be incurred. Otherwise, it will not come. It will not come to our factory. So this transportation cost will also form the part of the machinery of the asset. Then, if we have no in-house engineers who can install it or who can run it, then we will call obviously a team of some professionals, that is engineers. They will first install it, install the machinery, and then they will take a trial run and will get their charges. So this all installation and the trial run is necessary. Why? Because to make it ready for its intended use. So there comes another concept of installation and testing charges. So these are some of the examples that form the part of the cost of the machine. And the rule is that, key thing is that whatever the charges you think is necessary to bring that machinery in its initial use, that is the first start, then it will be included in the cost of the machinery. Now suppose this, after this we started the machinery, and after 2 days we need to refuel it. So will fuel charges come into the cost of the machinery?
No.
No. Why? Because it is a recurring charges. Because it is regularly being occurred, and we have already studied that these fuel and normal charges are related to the daily expenses. So fuel charges will not occur. And some plug got out, and we call out some little electrician, so that he may come and he may fix it. So that will not be, the electrical charges will not form after subsequent startup. That will not form the part of the cost of the machinery. Similarly, we have done an insurance we have insured this machinery against fire insurance. But the fire insurance is not guaranteed that it will happen. It is some conditional. So any conditional cost also will not be form the part of the cost of the machine. Clear?
Yes, makes sense.
Now, these are some examples. For example, the cost of the machinery includes purchase price, that is the invoice price, freight cost by the purchaser, and the installation cost. Once cost is established, the company uses that amount as the basis of accounting. As a basis of accounting means that is recording for the entry, and then subsequent its subsequent charging of depreciation over its useful life. Clear? So determining the cost of the plant asset, that is any long-term asset, is very important in our context.